The 2-week wait can throw you more than any other time during your trying to conceive journey. It is 14 days of searching for symptoms, convincing yourself that you feel different, and then convincing yourself that it definitely hasn't worked this month. I know that spiral because I lived it far too many times. One minute you're eyeing off the baby clothes at Kmart, and the next you are crying on the bathroom floor, convinced that you will never ever have your family. So today I want to give you some guidance around what to actually focus on during the 2-week wait. And if I could go back and redo it, these are the 3 things that I would put my attention on. Not symptom spotting, not superstition, but 3 things that can protect your nervous system and your peace at the same time.
Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am excited for today's topic because I think it is perhaps the thing that people reach out to me the most about, and I'm sure that other people who work in this space will find the same thing. It's people are always asking, what can I do during the 2-week wait and how can I help implantation? Now, I wish it was a simple list, like here you go, here's the magic formula, go and tick off these 5 things and for sure it will work. I absolutely wish that I could give you that. Sadly, it is far more nuanced depending on you and your body and your situation. But while I can't give you a magic pill during this time, what I can do is explain what you should actually be spending your time focusing on and when you should avoid spiraling, what you can do to stop getting into that negative thought spiral and everything else that can distract you from, well, when do I take that pregnancy test? So there are things that we can do that are going to, of course, support your body, your overall health and your fertility, but also your mental health and the emotional side of this as well, which I think perhaps is the hardest part. And the things that I'm going to go through with you today are the things that I think worked for me on my journey, and they are the things that I see working for my students over and over again. So let's get straight into it. The first thing that I want to take you through, and I know so much of my episodes and my work comes back to this, but number 1 is regulating your nervous system and not just your symptoms. So you're not trying to assess what's going on with your symptoms. And look, I know I am a broken record and I repeat myself so much with this, but really it is the crux of everything. And being able to do this makes your whole life easier. Every little part of your life, not just the 2-week wait, but especially during this very difficult, for a lot of us, time. So there were so many 2-week waits that I went through where I don't think I took a whole breath or a full proper breath for those whole 14 days. And when we are in that state, that constant, chronic, low-level survival mode state, it does just become overwhelming. It's like you can distract yourself for a little while, but then in the background, there's always this, well, what if, that we keep coming back to over and over again. But really, your body is only under threat from your thoughts. There is nothing that's actually going on, hopefully, in your 2-week wait that is a genuine threat to your survival, but your poor brain doesn't really know this. So we need to find ways of reminding your brain of this and reminding you that you do feel safe. So as always, I want to just point out, this is not about avoiding stress. And we get into this horrible spiral of, well, I'm stressed that I'm stressed and I'm stressing about getting stressed and it's just one thing after the next. And it sends a barrel roll, doesn't it? And you think, well, this is a write-off now. I've just completely ruined this whole cycle. We'll just start again next month. That is not how it works because stress is pretty much unavoidable during this time anyway. Do you know, it's completely unavoidable on this whole entire journey. So it is not about avoiding stress, but you can control your response to when these stressful situations arise. So the goal is not to avoid getting dysregulated at any stage, because that isn't practical and it's not how your body works. So how do we actually do this? Now, the minute that fear comes up, when you notice that those really scary thoughts are creeping in and you think, oh my goodness, like, what has this all been for? This has all just been a waste of my time, my effort, my money. I'm never going to be a parent. Whenever you notice that these thoughts are starting to come up, you're going to meet yourself exactly where you're at. So if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, stressed, dysregulated, maybe you want to take a moment to shake out your body, shake out your hands, jump up and down a few times, kick out your legs, just find a way to disperse some of that very nervous energy. When you have become aware of that and you've done that, you're going to meet yourself then at a place of connection. So maybe you want to place a hand over your heart, a hand over your lower belly, and just take a few deep breaths. So slow inhale, even slower exhales, and just come back to safety in the moment. And this might be something that you need to do twice a day. It might be something you need to do 20 times a day. But the more we do it, the more we respond to those scary thoughts with a practice that reminds our body of safety and regulation, the less likely you're going to spiral from them as we go. The other thing we want to do to prioritize nervous system regulation in the 2-week wait is prioritize sleep. And I think every fertility doctor and expert will tell you this anyway. So you can't always control what will wake you up during the night or what time you'll get woken up in the morning, but you can control what time you go to sleep. And again, I know I'm a broken record with this, but honestly, it is something that is so within our control and it makes such a big difference. So you want to prioritize that. It is so easy for us, I think, to hide away in the 2-week wait and just say, I'm going to park myself in my house. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to go out. But human connection is going to be something that carries you through really, really well. So finding these people and these moments where you can talk about something that isn't related to your fertility journey, just find that time where you can be yourself, be with others, and kind of like steal their regulation. This is called co-regulation that we absolutely essentially need from others. Schedule time to get outside every single day, and time outside while you're not staring at your phone. Like you can go for a walk and listen to a podcast, but you don't need to be like texting or scrolling at the same time. So being out in nature is a regulating tool in itself. During the 2-week wait, like there is very little physiologically that you can do to improve the chances of conception. There are little things, I think we'll get to these later on in the episode, but increasing good blood circulation and nourishing your body and all these good things are always going to help. But symptom spotting and then going down that rabbit hole of putting all your symptoms into ChatGPT are not going to help you, because if you do feel something, there's nothing that you can do about your body's response in that moment. So can we stay off the AI questions during this time? Even for just 1 2-week wait, just challenge yourself. Can you do it? I know that is much, much harder said than done. And know what your triggers are and know that it is okay to avoid them. And especially during this time where there are so many heightened emotions anyway. And if you look at the luteal phase of your cycle in general compared to other times of your cycle, this is genuinely where you have less energy and less capacity for big group events. So if there is something coming up and you know the people there are going to be talking about their kids and their families and you're going to be triggered, it is okay to say no to these events at these times. The 2-week wait becomes very obsessive because the mind wants certainty. You know, our brains absolutely love predictability. So when we don't have that, when we're in this limbo land and this waiting period, it becomes very, very difficult. And that symptom spotting really increases cortisol and anxiety. So do what you can to balance this. So the things that I find when you do find like cortisol is running the show, you are super stressed and some of your little regulating tools aren't quite enough. Like you're getting the good sleep, you're taking the deep breaths, you're getting outside. A few other things that you can do is movement and exercise. Now, this is really going to depend on you. And I get asked all the time, what exercise should I be doing in the 2-week wait? Now, movement is essential to nervous system regulation, but how much is too much and how much is too little? This is such a big question, and it's tricky because everyone wants the black and white answer, don't they? I do give my students guidelines around, look, I don't think that things like high intensity interval training, CrossFit, running a marathon are ideal during the 2-week wait. These are very physiologically stressful things on your body. And we know that these in very, very big cases can have an impact on early pregnancy. So you do want to avoid things that are incredibly physically stressful. But I think the answer is a lot more nuanced, and it really depends on the person. Like, are you used to lifting weights? Are you used to running? Are you used to going to Pilates 7 days a week? Like, for someone who's not used to doing any of those things, doing it once might be a bit overwhelming. So I find a better way to look at that is, what other signals is your body giving you that you are stressed or overwhelmed? So, for example, are you having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? This is a sign that your body is basically running on fumes and you are in survival mode. So maybe you do need to scale back some of the exercise that you're doing. Is your reaction to a certain situation when it happens really like out of normal for what that situation would normally predict? So are you crying over really small things? Are you blowing up and getting super angry when someone cuts you off in traffic? Like, does your reaction fit the situation? And I find when we are having these huge emotional reactions to small things, that is also a sign of dysregulation and a sign and a symptom that you, or a signal, sorry, that you wanted to start bringing back a little bit more of those calming, more gentle activities. Some of the newer, like these wearable devices that we have these days, like the new Apple Watches, the Oura Rings, the Whoops, those sorts of things, they track a metric called HRV. Now, this is heart rate variance. Now, heart rate variance is the difference between how many times your heart beats as you inhale versus how many times your heart beats as you exhale. And we want the difference between those two to be as big as possible. So generally, the higher your HRV is, the less stressed you are. So for example, if you've had a really late night, you've had a few drinks, you've gone to bed late, you've had a busy week, you're very disrupted, you might wake up and notice your HRV is like 15. But if you read for an hour before you go to bed, you have all these tools in place to help your room feel calm and relaxing, and you have a beautiful 8-hour sleep, you might wake up and notice that your HRV is like 50 or 60. So that's kind of where we want to lean towards. We want that HRV to be as high as possible. So these wearable devices are a really good way to get us some data that's not just like, well, how do I feel in my body? It's actual numbers on a page or on an app that we can see. So looking at your HRV is a way to say, okay, maybe I am a little overwhelmed, a little bit too stressed this month. Maybe we want to scale back the intensity of exercise in the 2-week wait. So look at all of these and then say, okay, well, what am I doing? Is this really contributing to making me feel good? Perhaps I could scale it back. And, if you do need something that is wonderful for you in the 2-week wait, I have practices that you can download and do in the comfort of your own home. There are links to these in the show notes. So grab a copy of some of my free resources, and this will give you things that you can actually focus on. So practical tools, nervous system regulation work in the 2-week wait. 5 minutes slow breath work daily. No Google, no ChatGTP rule. If you can, I'd love to hear if you can actually make the 14 days without doing that. Limiting these pregnancy test spirals. Like, I know it's so easy to start testing like 5 days after ovulation, and it's a lot. So if you can wait until that day, you're going to get a significant result on a test, it will save you a lot of heartache. And then just pick one grounding ritual every single day. So maybe it is spending half an hour out in nature. It is going and speaking to that person that makes you feel good, and you don't have to focus on your fertility. So that would be my first point of call, doing what you can to regulate your nervous system in the 2-week wait and make everything feel more manageable. Now, number 2, and this is something that I really love doing as well. It's just going with the advice of the Chinese medicine doctors. I really loved the approach of my acupuncturist in the 2-week wait. And I find like medical doctors, like fertility doctors, are very much like, don't worry, there's nothing you can do in the 2-week wait. Like what's done is done, just get on with your life. But being the very type A, overly controlling person that I am, I was like, well, no, that's not good enough. Just tell me the things I need to do and I will do them. I'll do anything that I can to support this potential pregnancy. And I really preferred it when someone said to me, oh, cool, well, you're just going to do this instead. And now I do not want you to get obsessive with this, because the last thing in the whole world that I would want you to do is to add more to your plate and just think, oh God, now there's like a ton of other things that I have to do. But I have worked with dozens of Chinese medicine doctors over the years, both professionally and personally, and they all swear by the same rules. And there is a lot of value in this. Like, keep in mind, to become a Chinese medicine doctor, it's not like a quick online course. You have to study for years and years. And this is also the medicine that we had well before modern medicine. So we have had Chinese medicine and these ancient pearls of wisdom for thousands of years. So to dismiss them and think there's no value in them, I think is naive as well. And the other thing I really love about these is that they're gentle, they're easy, and they can't hurt. So even if you do them and like it doesn't make a difference, it isn't going to hurt you. They can only make you feel good, as long as you don't come at it from that obsessive, I have to. So if it feels aligned and it feels nourishing for you, these are the things that they always prioritize. So number one is increasing circulation. So maybe that is acupuncture. If you enjoy acupuncture in the 2-week wait, it is a wonderful way to help increase circulation, help calm your body, and just make you feel a little bit more relaxed. And it doesn't have to be, if you're not into acupuncture, acupressure is also quite helpful as well, which is just pressure points. And there are other ways to help you encourage that circulation through the body. So things like movement and exercise, walking is wonderful. It's one of my favorite activities during the 2-week wait and for fertility in general. But we also have very specific yoga practices for this time of the cycle as well. I find that Ayurveda and Chinese medicine and yoga really are like sister sciences. They all flow in so beautifully with each other. So like I said, I have practices you can do in the 2-week wait. So jump into some of my free resources if you need those. The second thing that Chinese medicine doctors love to talk about is warm foods. And you can believe this or not, but they are like obsessed with it. So if it's something that you enjoy, this is a time to really lean into soups, casseroles, lovely warming cups of tea, and just really allowing that heat around your belly to aid digestion and to aid circulation. Now, don't confuse heat with things that you consume for putting heat on your body. We don't want to be putting heat packs around our lower abdomen during the 2-week wait, because heat and overheating this area during early pregnancy can have adverse effects. So eating anything that is warm is amazing, but avoid heat packs if there is any possibility that you are pregnant. The third thing that they talk about is energy conservation. And of course, this goes back to sleep and to movement that feels good, but you don't want to be overly exhausting yourself. We are humans and mammals, and all mammals on the entire planet are energy conservation beings. We are the only ones who struggle to rest. If you look at lions, monkeys, tigers, I'm just naming big cats now, any mammal, really, even your cat or your dog at home, if they're not eating, chasing a predator, defending their territory, looking after their humans around them or their young or whatever, procreating, if it's not essential to survival or safety, what are they doing? They are resting. They're literally lying around doing nothing. And they are okay with that. And we are the only mammals who are not. And we get so trained out of it, don't we? We think that doing more and being productive is something to be celebrated. Oh, that person gets so much done. She's so busy. Wow, look at her. She can fit everything into her schedule. You need times to rest. You need that space for your body, your mind, and your nervous system. And I think that we can take a lot of this ancient wisdom and a lot from much simpler beings around us and realize how beneficial that is. And the fourth thing that Chinese medicine doctors are always banging on about is keeping your feet warm. And again, this comes back to encouraging circulation. And they say that it helps support your hormones and progesterone production through activating the various meridians in the feet. So if you know a Chinese medicine doctor, you can go into a little deep dive next time you see them and ask them all about that. But I think some of these really lovely ancient practices are beautiful things to lean into. Now, the third thing that I would focus on in the 2-week wait right now is live as if you trust the process. So without pretending you're pregnant or without forcing positivity on yourself 24/7, just trust that you have done enough. And you don't need to pause your life completely for the potential outcomes. So sure, you want to avoid drinking alcohol in the 2-week wait because obviously that's not something you would want to do if you were pregnant. But you can let your baby come into your life while you're in a state of feeling like yourself. And you want to invite in that energy as much as you can. You want your baby to meet you at a place where you are feeling as confident and capable in your own body as possible. The 2-week wait doesn't have to be a holding pattern. It doesn't have to be, okay, everything else is cancelled until I find out the result of this cycle. Because otherwise we end up living our lives in these 2-week increments where nothing else is possible. Nothing else will get done or planned. And you start to make every decision through this lens of, is this going to help or harm my fertility? And it dictates everything. You no longer just eat for pleasure or say yes to events with your friends, You want to make those future plans, book the dinners out, continue your life. I feel like distraction is also okay at this time of the cycle as well. And we talk so much, especially in healing circles, it's all about like, we need to feel our emotions and make space for everything that's coming up. And I totally agree with that. We do. We need to honor where we are at. But do you know what? Sometimes distraction is also totally fine. So if it means that you want to get stuck into a series and just like binge a bunch of episodes or watch crappy reality TV because it helps you just tune out, something that makes you laugh is amazing. The studies between like laughter and IVF success rates are pretty cool. You can Google it if you want to. So finding things that just bring you a little bit of joy, that make you laugh, even if it is only for a few moments. I think there is this misunderstanding in manifestation where a lot of the advice given to us is, well, if you're trying to manifest a pregnancy, you need to live your life as though you're already pregnant. And I don't really agree with that because then your life would actually be quite restrictive because pregnancy is quite restrictive in a lot of ways. There are things that we shouldn't eat and drink and do. So I don't want you to think, okay, well, if I was pregnant, would I make this decision? But instead, there is another way that we can look at that. Instead of going, okay, well, if I'm not pregnant, what else can I lean into? This energy of what if I could be the person who knew without any amount of doubt that she would be pregnant in the next month, 3 months, 6 months? What decision would she make? And when you are faced with these kind of dilemmas, can you kind of look at that situation as though you're looking back at a memory? So look at that version of yourself. She knows that she's going to be pregnant in 6 months. She has no doubt in the whole world. What decision would she make? And does that help you? Does that help you to say, do you know what? I think this piece of chocolate cake actually wouldn't be such a big deal. I'm going to go out with my friends and have a kebab on the weekend. I'm not going to freak out that that's ruined my fertility for this month. So what would she focus on? What would that version of you think in that moment? And how would she feel? And that is a much better way to lean into it than, well, what would I do if I was pregnant? So if you had that undeniable knowledge that what you wanted was on its way and it was only a matter of time, what would you be focusing on in this 2-week period then? Trust is not pretending that you are okay and you have to think positively every single day. If you end up in these negative thought spirals and these loops, and I've told you this story before, when I went through IVF to have my daughter, during that 2-week wait, I ended up having to have surgery on my eye, of all things. And I spent like days and days in bed crying after that. So much had gone into this IVF cycle. It was my only embryo. And I thought, wow, I put all this into it and then I get this like eye thing and I have to have surgery and this is totally ruined. So I just spent days and days crying, thinking negatively. There was not a positive thought in sight during that 2-week wait. And that was a successful pregnancy. If we were so powerful that every negative thought could cause a negative outcome within our bodies, I mean, my goodness, like think of the possibilities that we could bring about in this world. Your thoughts are not going to dictate what is happening within your body. So if you are getting into those negative thoughts, spirals, or patterns, please know that it is not the end of the world. Trust is knowing that you will be okay either way. Because if it is not this month, and I hope for you more than anything that it is, but that doesn't mean it isn't the next one. And it doesn't mean that it won't be in 3 months or 6 months or whenever your time comes. But putting everything on it has to happen right now can really upset our system as well and make things a lot more stressful than they need to be. So as we start to close up this episode, I want to give you some other tools that I thought might be helpful. I like affirmations. I think they have to be done in the right way. But instead, I've put together a few anchoring statements that you can repeat to yourself during the 2-week wait. So not so much affirmations, but things that you can repeat to yourself just to help ground your body and feel supported in times where you are feeling a little stressed and overwhelmed. So the first thing you can say to yourself is, my body knows exactly what to do. So our bodies are so incredibly intelligent. They know exactly what needs to happen to support early pregnancy. So trust yourself. My body knows what to do. The next one is, I am safe no matter what happens. Because anytime you are stressed, ultimately your poor brain is only really worried about your survival. And these moments of stress are life or death sometimes to your nervous system. So repeating to yourself, I am safe no matter what happens. And lastly, the thing that you can't repeat to yourself enough is, I have done more than enough. So know when you need those grounding statements and just feel into your body. Repeat them to yourself a few times, maybe hand on heart, feet on the floor, and just feel a little more grounded in your whole system. So as I mentioned, if you want some tools or you want to jump into a yoga practice or you need other little things to support you during the 2-week wait, breathwork meditation, grab a copy of my free fertility yoga guide. The link is down in the show notes. And a gentle kind of thing I want to leave you with as we finish today. I think that the 2-week wait taught me that the hardest part about the whole fertility journey, it is not the science, it is the uncertainty. And learning to sit in that without losing yourself, that is the real work. So to be able to say, I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I know I'm going to be okay. The 2-week wait doesn't have to be 2 weeks of suffering either. It can be 2 weeks of self-trust, and that will change everything as well. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you have found this episode helpful. I would love to hear from you. Please reach out. I love getting all your DMs, your emails, your voice notes. Hearing your voices from all around the world, like really is such a highlight for me, please. So if you're a voice note person, please feel free to do that. And I would love if you could share this episode. We never know who is struggling, and getting these kind of episodes and tools out to people when they don't really know where to turn can be incredibly empowering for people. Now, next week on the podcast, we are going to be speaking about emotional support and how to support yourself from the non-medical side of things on this journey. I'm lucky enough to have both of the IVF Real Talk podcast girls with me in the studio, and we're going to go through all of the stuff that we just do not talk about usually. This is what support really looks like when you are trying to conceive. So I cannot wait to have you back next week for that episode. But until then, I am sending you all my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility.
The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways. to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.